about inflammation. So the more it's said, the less it's understood. No matter what the condition is, right? And this is something I've mentioned in previous episodes. There are very few diabetics who only have diabetes. And that's to say that it usually comes with another diagnosis, right? Whether it be celiac disease, whether it be Hashimoto's, whether it be Crohn's or IBS, there's usually something else that falls under the autoimmune condition umbrella. And the very nature of autoimmune condition lies in inflammation. And so inflammation just, no matter where you go, everyone's trying, antioxidants, anti-inflammatory. We're all trying to address this kind of like baseline, whatever it is you think inflammation is. Everyone seems to be so inflamed and no one really seems to know what it is that's causing it. So the World Health Organization has stated that chronic inflammatory diseases are the most significant cause of death in the world and pose the greatest threat to the future of human health. So, the chronic inflammatory disease list is things that we hear about on a daily basis, things like Alzheimer's, things like heart disease, things like type 2 diabetes. All of these things are on the rise, and the information being applied to treating these conditions just really can't seem to catch up. So what I wanted to do is dive a little bit further into what's actually going on underneath this inflammation. And it's so wide ranging. So, this little blurb here, from cancer to diabetes, which are, kind of are major, major conditions, to eczema and asthma, which, again, to those suffering from eczema and asthma, these are not sub disease states, but it's all over. It's affecting our skin. It's affecting our eyes, our mental health, our digestion, organs, tissues, skeleton, everything. Everything seems to be affected by inflammation, and we got to figure out why and how we can improve it. So the first way to address any problem is to actually understand what the problem is. And with inflammation, it's really hard to put your finger on exactly what it is. So I would argue that if you were to ask any doctor or person what inflammation was, you probably wouldn't get the same answer twice. Or if you did, would it describe what inflammation looked like or what it was? And are we making the distinction enough to actually address the issue? So these are some words that get thrown around with inflammation: swollen, inflamed, itchy, blood rushed, angry, irritated. This is describing the tissues that are affected that we are experiencing the downsides of, right? If you're a diabetic, your for type 2s, your insulin sensitivity is being affected by chronic inflammation of body tissues. All body tissues have receptors for insulin. If you're a type 1 diabetic, your beta cell health has been affected by inflammation. But again, what is inflammation, right? It's not a condition itself. It's a symptom of some condition, whatever that may be. So what is actually happening? It's kind of like, asking someone to describe the wind or the color red. It's like, well, you're describing things about it, but it's not actually what it is. So, let's try and figure that out, because figuring that out opens the door for actually addressing what the issue is. So if you were to look at, in a medical sense, the term inflammation, it's the body's immune response to an irritant. And again, just so broad, because if you were to ask someone, well, how do I address this irritant? Well, what is the irritant, right? What are we looking to address? Obviously, there are things that are inflammatory, things like, you know, hydrogenated oils, things like sugar, fried food, all of these things. We have kind of very vague and large umbrella groups of things that we identify as inflammatory. But I think most don't understand what it is about those things that bring about the inflammation. So, what are we looking for? Where is this inflammation happening that is causing the downstream conditions? When does it happen? Where did it come from, right? We have to be asking better questions to get to the root of the issue itself. So,